We get another new deal here. We're going to do the exact same thing as all the others. I'm going to give you first impressions as we run through it. Then we're going to run through the numbers. And we're going to see whether this is a viable deal, a good deal, and something that you can actually structure. And I'm going to show you how we structure it, financials, all that stuff. So going through the deal here, luxury cabinets with in-house manufacturing, 1.16 million in cash flow. So they are a manufacturing company. I'm assuming they do installs as well. Asking 3.48 million, cash flow 1.16. Very low multiple for a manufacturing company. So obviously you have to really investigate how much of the revenue is manufacturing, how heavy they are in equipment, or whether this is really more what we would call light manufacturing. So it's more carpentry, but with a factory type approach to it, not necessarily heavy equipment. Revenue 4 million, EBITDA 843. So this pretty much tells you right away either there's heavy depreciation amortization involved here, at least a couple $100,000 worth, or the big difference here is probably a potential owner salary that's not being paid out or is currently in there or something along those lines. My guess, because it's manufacturing, this is probably depreciation, amortization, or interest relating to the manufacturing side. And so that's basically the difference gap here, which this makes more sense. This is a really low multiple or a reasonable multiple for manufacturing. EBITDA against asking, this is a little bit more stretched. This is a little bit more on the top end of what we'd like to see. So we'll see. I mean, obviously, when we enter in data, we'll use SDE for now because we are going to carve out an operations salary when we go through the numbers. But that basically tells me right away the multiple is not quite as good as it sounds. Rent $6,500 a month, reasonable. Seems kind of low. Usually with manufacturing, there's larger facilities, there's warehousing and all that stuff. So we'll definitely have to be investigated whether this is market rent that they're going to take or whether this is probably going to increase because that does happen as well. Established 2012. So what is that? 13 years in business. Not bad at all. So they have a showroom. Yeah, I mean this actually adds right away. So 6,500 rent for a showroom plus manufacturing facility plus I'm sure some warehousing seems very low, unless it's middle of nowhere or something. So definitely has to be investigated. In-house manufacturing, turnkey, built to scale. So well established coastal market. So that kind of further adds this is probably not enough rent. Full service design, product supply, and construction renovation. So they basically design it, build it, manufacture it, and then install it. So pretty full circle. In which case the margins here seem really high for that because that's a lot of elements to be managing at the smaller scale. Usually margins are lesser at that. Um, okay, newly launched in-house manufacturing division. So this potentially explains this bit here, where it is a lot of equipment that they might have just invested in. Reducing lead time, shipping damage. I mean, this is basically a move, in essence, pre-tariff move that they've made because you don't quite know the year that they made it. But if they made it in the last year and a bit, I mean, realistically, this is a move to mitigate tariffs, which is, good foresight. Good vertical integration, 2 years, 2 decades of market presence. That doesn't quite line up unless maybe they were an independent setup or something like that beforehand, which could be the case. Or maybe the owner has just been in the space for a long time. Pre-approved for SBA financing. Generally, as much as we used to love seeing this because that meant at least that the broker would have had a conversation with a lender who hopefully would have talked them into reality. Really, at this stage, when we see this, we kind of look at it and say, okay, so there's likely a big gap in expectation versus reality because a lot of times when you get these, the pre-qualification, yeah, it's for 85% financing, 90% financing, whatever it is, but it's usually based on the fact that like a buyer's coming in and dumping 15-20% into a deal, which is not really the most standard in reality. Doing 20% on a deal when you could find another deal and put 5 or 10% in, have better leverage on your money, but also be more conservative and have a little bit less risk off the plate makes way more sense always. So not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily a good thing. 1.16 SDE, High cash flow, clean books. That, obviously will remain to be seen, but usually a broker actually mentioning this is, similar to the SBA prequel. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Bad thing more in the sense of they think it's clean, but it's not really. But could be a good thing if really what they're presenting is just pure. Here's the tax return numbers. We're not, mixing around accounting bases of accrual versus cash or otherwise. That's always a good thing. If the broker really knows their stuff, that's a good thing to see. 1.3 million FF&E included. Pretty decent amount of equipment for this size of company. I mean, basically a quarter, about a third of the asking price is equipment backed. Now that's at value. They think at fire sale value 25%, 20%. But against their revenue and profit, it's a pretty good amount of FF&E, equipment assets primarily. The real big thing is going to be investigating how much is tied up in showroom, because we've seen a lot of these companies in the home service sector where they have a showroom and there is just so much money tied up in showroom elements. The good thing is usually when they don't need to update that stuff all the time, so they can have it stick around for a couple of years. It's obviously a lot less that's tied up, but the problem also is then when you go and actually look at it and value the company, they might think, well, hey, I paid $1 million for all this stuff. Reality is it's been in the showroom for several years. You've already depreciated it. It's not really worth anything. It's basically zero value because you got to come in and replace all that stuff with newer, updated stuff. But they still want the value of it. So that's usually where some of the big things come in. But decent amount of equipment. They're not drastically overinflating value, I don't think. We'll see when we really look at the numbers here. But this multiple is still on the higher end. Launch this year. Okay, yeah. So they this is a tariff play, which is a good thing. I mean, tariff play is a good thing to keep in mind when you're in manufacturing, especially because it's all about raw materials and things like that, and that's really what's getting hit heaviest. So should reduce cost of goods. That's a good thing to hear. They're probably not seeing this in totality because obviously there's an investment in equipment, but that does mean the potential is for, and I assume this is probably listed. This is listed in the last 3-4 days. So this probably happened in 2025. You're not really going to see this cost of goods drop until next year. And that's assuming that their projection here of 30% is correct, but you will likely see a cost of goods drop just given tariffs are in kind of full force now. Significant growth capacity, 2 additional shifts. Let's see. So they work with other retailers. Teams already in place. This is all relatively standard. They want an asset purchase. That might be tough if they have these white label offerings, wholesaling, things like that. If they're already doing this, it sounds like this is potential. But if they're already doing this and contracts are in place, an asset sale could potentially kill those contracts. So this one may or may not have issues in the deal with that structure. But 12-month support, that's good that they've had some conversations around that. Let's see. There we go. So 40 grand in inventory. So this is really all equipment. This 1.3 they're talking about. 3,700 square foot building. 60 grand a year. I mean, this seems like a really small building for housing, manufacturing equipment, and everything else. So, and I see the expansion opportunity they're talking about is just adding shifts. So they're not really thinking of it as you need to move out of this building to be able to scale more. But I don't think adding shifts alone is going to add enough capacity increase that it's like you can double or triple the company. So I think they're thinking about a 15-20% type of movement. But otherwise, I mean, this is all, pretty much reiteration of what was above there. So not bad. Pretty interesting little company here. Let's go through the financials though. So we're just going to use our quick vet calculator here. It's available at this link here if you ever want to play around with it. It's just free and open because we do a lot of these. So revenue entered in. We will enter in cash flow as SDE. Purchase price, we're just going to enter what they have here. And so cash flow discount. So what this is basically literally discounting this cash flow by a certain amount, just assuming that there's stuff that has to be cleaned up. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and leave it on the minimum selection here. But usually if they didn't flat out say, hey, we have clean books, it's manufacturing, they're in a small facility, there's a lot of potential that there's stuff that they're kind of not quite saying I would probably be at like a 25% discount, which literally means we just take this cash flow and cut 25% off it and say, yeah, that's more the realistic cash flow when you clear out all the excess. So that's the folks going out and going out for steak dinners every day and charging it back to the company or otherwise, like all the discretionary stuff. So I'm going to leave at 15% because I think that's within realm. It's unlikely to be purely clean. It never really is, unless it's an individual owner who's listing. In some cases, they take their CPA's advisory of like, yes, just stick to tax returns, but brokers don't really do that. So I'm going to leave this at the minimum. Working capital. This is a manufacturing company. There's a lot of equipment. Inventory seems really low, so they probably don't need to hold on to a bunch of it, and that's likely just in relation to this being brand new, so they haven't got into the material cycle that's typical in manufacturing. I'm going to just assume zero because I'm going to assume you structure working capital in the deal. So 2, 3, 4 months working capital included in the purchase price because I think this multiple is kind of high. Operator cost, let's carve out about 125. I'm going to assume you're going to give an equity incentive or a bonus incentive or something. So you're going to be able to discount someone who'd normally ask for 150 down to 125, and get them to jump in and help out. Simply because I don't have an idea of what the structure of the team is, but there are sales staff, there's design folks. So I'm assuming really that the owner's core responsibilities is more in oversight and supervisory of the manufacturing side of the showroom side. So that's basically what I'm carving out here as replacement cost. We're not going to assume investor. You could always re-enter these numbers and play around yourself if you want to see what it looks like bringing in an investor for the 5% down payment gap, or the 10% down payment gap, depending on what you structure. But we'll leave it at that. We'll hit calculate. And what we're going to get at the bottom here are a couple of variations of structures. I've walked through this in another video, but I'll walk through it again because I think we've only done a few videos with this calculator now. So we take key assumptions. Basically, current SBA interest rate is prime plus whatever amount. We're just assuming the top end, 2.75%. That puts you at 10.25. Amortization length, 10 years for SBA 7A. It's typical. Due diligence and closing costs, we are assuming 4% of the purchase price. So this 3.48 million purchase price, 4% of that, we're assuming we're basically adding back into it as closing costs, due diligence, so what you'd pay for your lawyer, accountant, whatever else to do the financial and legal due diligence, as well as closing. And then we're assuming 5% buyer injection. We just assume that because realistically, you want to be structuring seller finance in your deals. Getting a seller to take a 10 or 15% note on a 10-year standby is really not a hard thing. I know brokers will say, oh, it never happens. We do all our deals this way, and we do a ton of deals. So 5% injection is really where you want to be aiming for. So that way you have a lot of cash on hand post-close if shit hits the fan, because you always got to account for that. So at their current setup, assuming a 10% note, so 10% seller finance on the standard structure we do, which is a 10-year standby, because that allows it to act as equity. The seller is going to hold back $348,000 as a note. Loan is just over $3 million. This includes these due diligence and closing costs and everything else. So this is the total SBA loan amount. Annual debt service on that's just under $500,000. And debt service ratio, so the amount of debt against cash flows total of the company. As a ratio, you basically take the total cash flows divided by the total debt. You get debt service ratio. So 1.74. Lenders on the SBA end at a minimum will take 1.25. That is really stupid to do a deal at 1.25. You really got to know your shit and have a lot of capital to back you to do a deal that stretched. 1.5 is really where we see our minimum and where most of our lenders have a comfortable minimum. So that usually is where we shoot at the low end. 2x is kind of more where we want to be. This is right in between. So really not too bad, not too great, somewhere in between. And net free cash flows at 365 after all said and done. Now, this is also taking into account we're cutting out 15% of cash flows. We're just removing it off the top, saying they don't exist. We're also taking out $125,000 for the operations cost. So roughly what these numbers are representing is if you have round about 800 and some thousand in cash flow as a total. Whereas if you jump in and you do get all that extra, maybe it's all depreciation. So it's real cost, but it's not all the real costs in terms of what would normally be cash in and out. You're going to end up with some upside beyond this when you jump in. We've added 2 other variations here. We always present 3 variations within this. So at a 20% note, and then also what'll it take to get to a 2 times debt service ratio? Meaning if you're making $1 million in cash flow in the business, your debt service is $500,000. That's a 2 times debt service ratio. Your cash flows cover debt service by 2 times. So really what it takes to get there is a 21% note, which is going to be a little bit tough in manufacturing, things like that. They've just made a pretty big investment. I mean, 1.3 million in equipment costs. So they're not likely to take, almost a $750,000 seller note because their cash on close is only 2.6. They're looking at that and saying, well, I'm only getting twice what I just invested in the company. That's how it's going to end up playing for sure. But getting somewhere in between here, maybe 10 or 15% note is probably likely. It's going to put you at a pretty decent debt service ratio. You still got lots of wiggle room. There's a conservative model, and you're still accounting for all of your costs, right? So closing and due diligence costs, $139,000. This is definitely on the higher end, but this is aimed to include your SBA guarantee fee, the cost that you'd pay to a lawyer for purchase agreement and due diligence, likely somewhere in the range of $20,000, $25,000. Financial due diligence, likely in the range of 5 or 10 grand. And any other lender associated closing costs, because obviously you're going to have closing costs relating to appraisals and all the other stuff that SBA lenders do. And then you have your buyer injection of 180 grand. So when you look at any of these scenarios, you're getting your money back with a good chunk of return in this structure. And that's not bad at all if you're looking at it from a cash on cash return standpoint. But that said, by all means, feel free to use this calculator if you ever want to. And then this is the deal name for those of you that look at this and say, yep, there's an interesting deal and you want to take a look at it. But otherwise, if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and we'll keep posting more videos. Comment if you have any particular deals or industries you want us to look at. Always happy to do breakdown videos like this. If you're on Facebook, hit like and everything else as well. See you in the next video.